Hi guys, it's Supper again. This time I've got with me owner of Frontline Gaming, creator of FatMats, creator and coordinator of ITC, and TO for Bay Area Open and Las Vegas Open, Reece Robbins.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Uh, this time I would like to talk to you about organizing tournaments, and because of the tournaments that you are organizing, you are the best person to do it. So, but start from the beginning. What were your beginnings as a gamer?
Yeah, my beginnings as a gamer go way back to the 80s, playing BattleTech and Redbox D&D. And then from there, just kind of progressed into 40K, and I've been playing it since I was a little kid. And then as we progressed, started playing and then organizing, and then now we have a game store and manufacture stuff. So it's been a lifelong passion and obsession.
Mainly 40K or maybe some other games currently?
Yeah, mostly 40K, but also love to play Drop Zone Commander. I play a couple computer role-playing games when I have a chance. Really like Pathfinder, but yeah, predominantly the main game I play is 40K.
Fragile subject. Did you try it already? Age of Sigmar.
We played one game with it, and it was all right. I mean, I think I need to play it a couple more times to have a good opinion. I don't feel like it's like a complete game yet. You know, it's just the starter set, so I just got to give it some more time, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember your first tournament as a TO?
My first tournament as a TO was, gosh, 10 years ago.
Oh, that's not so far away.
About 10 years ago. No, I was always a tournament player. And then I was always one of those people that was like, you should do this, you should do that, you could do it better. And then I tried it, and I was like, oh man, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. And then, it just, from there, it just kind of just kept doing it. And I still prefer to play, but you need people to organize stuff, or the community can't grow, and there's no tournaments for anybody else to go to.
Yeah, of course. And this is your first tournament of yours. Was it already a success, or some mistakes you made?
Oh, I made nothing but mistakes in the first one. Yeah, and this one you kind of realize like you need an FAQ. You need to be really patient when you're dealing with people. You know, it's good. It's a good experience being a tournament organizer, because it makes you more sensitive to other tournament organizers, and you know, don't judge them as harshly because you don't understand how difficult it is.
Okay, and what are the main reasons for your tournaments to grow this size? You got your golden way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is to just really be passionate about what you're doing, to love tournaments and to love the organized community, and to just put a lot of time and energy and effort into it, and use social media, as we had talked about before. The more energy and the more love you put into what you do, the more you'll get back from it. And other people can tell when you care about what you do. And then it'll just grow on its own. You know, people will tell their friends, and then somebody will come to their first tournament. They'll go home, tell their friends they had fun, and then they'll come back with 3 of their buddies. And that's how these things grow. You know, over time, you just incrementally starts to increase.
When your tournament starting to grow, you found some difficulties when they started to grow this size?
Yes, scaling up is very difficult. Frankie, my business partner, and I can do a 60-man tournament in our sleep with our eyes closed. Like, it's like you don't even have to think about it. You know, 2 people is everything. When you hit like 100 and like 15, 120, it just completely changes. It's like you hit like critical mass or something, and you need like 6, 7 people. And then when you go up to like 256, you need like 12, 13 people. And then this Las Vegas Open coming up next year is going to be, we anticipate 2,000 or more attendees. Whoa. And the 40K tournament's going to be over 300 people. You know, we're going to have a massive staff. There's going to be like 30, 40, 50 people involved with running it. The Las Vegas Open last year had like 35 staff. So it becomes like running a business. You know, you have to delegate responsibility, you have to keep the books, and to get to that point, you have to have a lot of time to dedicate to it, or it won't work.
Okay, so it has to be your main job. Yes, you won't be able to
Yeah.
to run the tournaments this size if for just in spare time.
Yeah, I mean the guys at Adepticon, they do it in their spare time, but there's a huge group and they've been doing it for 15 years. So they're all professionals, but they put a lot of time. They make a lot of sacrifices to do it. For us, it's our full-time job, so it's not as difficult for us to manage it. So you could do it if you only have part-time, but I would say you would need 2-3 times as many people to get the amount of hours that you need to get everything done.
Okay, you told that the very important thing is FAQs for the tournament. You got your own. This is called ITC, yes. And what is it exactly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ITC is the Independent Tournament Circuit, and it's a coalition of tournaments all around the world now that basically play the game pretty much the same way. If you're in the ITC, you can change things if you want, like in your local environment. Your group really doesn't like one rule or whatever, you can just go ahead and change it. But the big tournaments follow it by the book. And really, some people really like some of the rulings, some people really don't like some of the rulings. That's fine. All we're trying to do is provide a standard for rules interpretations, which love them or hate them, at least you come to the table and you know what to expect.
Yeah, sure. Have you ever thought about coordinating work with ETC crew?
Yeah, we'd love to. Obviously, the time difference, the language barrier is a little tough. And then the ETC tends to have what I would call like more aggressive rulings. A lot of the way they read the rules is the more powerful way to read the rule. And in the ITC, we tend to be more conservative and we tend to read the rule the less powerful way. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a difference there, but for the most part, the documents are largely the same. Like if you look at the NOVA FAQ, which is the other big one in the United States, it's 96% the exact same as the ITC FAQ, really. It's just a couple small differences. So I think it'd be easy for everybody to come together if we wanted to.
Yes, of course, it would make easier for everyone because nowadays you play American Warhammer, we play European Warhammer, and when we listen to podcasts like Allies of Convenience, where you can hear a voice of Jesse Newton and guys from Great Britain, then you just realize how different they are and yet how similar as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because just like a couple little changes in an FAQ can really change a meta. Like in the ETC, characters in the same unit can cast duplicate powers, and then we don't, and that makes a huge difference in the way the game is played. Just that one little rule really favors Psychic Death Stars, and that can dramatically change the meta. So yeah, it's funny. It's still the same game, but the way it's played is so different. Like in some places, if you don't use super heavies, it's a completely different meta.
In Europe, you mostly don't use Forge World. I heard that at your place it is more common.
It's unlimited. It's here. It's so commonplace. We use Forge World Army List as long as they're for 7th edition. Now people here won't go to a tournament if it doesn't allow Forge World because they've gotten so used to using it. So. It's just different regional variances in the meta. It reflects kind of what people want in that area.
Okay, your tournaments are not only 40K, yes, mainly, but not only. What other games do you run?
Well, we did fantasy. I'm assuming that we'll roll into Age of Sigmar, assuming the game gets some traction, which I think it will. We have War Machine and Hordes is really big in the United States and Canada. It's starting to take off in Europe too. They had the tournament there in Poland, the big one, a couple months ago. But that War Machine and Hordes is the second biggest. We usually get over 100. I think we're going to get 200 this year for the Las Vegas Open. And then we have Dropzone Commander, Malifaux, Warzone. We have quite a few other games. Infinity is quite popular. X-Wing is really popular. We have a lot of games.
Yeah, about X-Wing, I heard that this is even more popular than 40K. Do you think that it can change tournament scene? That more people will start playing tournament of X-Wing than 40K? That someday your tournaments will be mainly X-Wing?
I haven't seen that. Like when the only time I've seen large X-Wing tournaments is at Fantasy Flight's actual
Yeah,
events. Like if we go to the big conventions, 40K is dramatic. It's still by far the biggest game. War Machine and Hordes is second biggest, but it's still 40K still blows everybody away. Um, Even at Adepticon, it's still the biggest game, but the X-Wing tournament was like 20 people or something, and then the 40K tournament was over 200. So I believe it might have been just under 200 this year, but I don't think that's going to happen. But it would be really cool if we had another game take off, because it's big tournaments help the overall convention. So we want every game to be very popular and have more and more people come. It's just more fun. You can do more.
yeah, yeah. And what are the most common mistakes of TOs these days when they are running their tournaments?
I think the most common mistake of a TO is trying to please everybody. You simply can't. There's going to be people who have very strong feelings about an FAQ ruling, about a rules judgment, about comp restrictions, or whatever that you decided to do. A TO needs to listen to their community, but not try to please all the outliers. There comes a point when you just have to go, hey, this is what it is. I hope you come and have fun, but also I hope that you can just accept that this is the way we're doing things. And then if it doesn't work, we can change it when we go forward. But for now, you have to stand firm sometimes, because people get really upset with their toy soldiers, and they can become sometimes mean about it. And you just have to brush it off your shoulder and not worry about that.
Yeah. And do you have any advices for the people that are starting the tournaments or want their tournaments to grow?
My number one most important piece of advice is, if you want to grow a tournament bigger than, say, 20, 30 people, if you want to actually have a big event that people come to, is learn some accounting and be really diligent with record keeping and bookkeeping, because it sounds boring, but it's the most important part. The first year we had a big tournament, I didn't really know that much about it. I couldn't have told you, how much money we made or we lost. I was like, I'm pretty sure that we made $14, but it's the business part of it. You have to treat it like a business. You need to keep the books. You need to keep every receipt. You need to be very diligent in all your record keeping. You need to have a budget. How much are we going to spend on terrain? When do people need to come and make it? You have to be very organized, because if you don't, it'll be a disaster. It'll be a fiasco. You'll get to the event, it'll be a mess. Nothing's organized. The unglamorous part of it is the most important part.
Yeah, of course. So I think that this is all I would like to ask you today. So thank you for joining me for this short interview, and see you later.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.